And he drops back to pass. Oh, looks like there's a flag on the play. Let's go to the officials.
There is no flag on the play. I just had to tell everyone about the amazing deal I got at the Kia store.
Celebrate good times, come on!
Kick off your season with lower prices and exceptional trade-in values at the Kia stores, Anniston, Oxford, and Rainbow City, Gadsden. Are you stuck in your loan or lease? The Kia store wants to get you released. For a limited time, get up to $2,000 over Kelley Blue Book fair market value for any trade, so you can drive a new, more fuel-efficient Kia for less. We have a great selection of new Kias with more arriving daily, including the all-new 2023 Sportage SUV, plus Telluride and Sorento SUVs. All available with zero down payment and super low financing. Worried about your credit? Don't sweat it. We partnered with even more aggressive lenders that will push to approve your credit, even if it's less than perfect. At the Kia store, Anniston, Oxford, and Rainbow City, Gadsden, or online at mykiastore.com. Subject to lender approval. Offers not combined. Sell ends 9/30/22.
You already know credit cards deliver easy buying power, but a Visa credit card from Family Savings Credit Union gives you even more. Save big every month with our super low rates and no annual fee. Plus, you'll have a chance to win free gas for a month when you transfer $1,000 or more to your new card. Apply for a Visa credit card online at FamilySavingsCU.com. Family Savings Credit Union, your best financial friend. Contact Family Savings or contest rules, terms, and conditions. Federally insured by NCUA.
We're excited to announce that Riverfest at River Rocks is coming back to Gadsden, Alabama, with live music from Drake White, Anderson East, and opening entertainment from Casey Tingle. We know it's football season, and we've got you covered at our tailgate area where we'll have your Alabama and Auburn games ready to go. Come see a lineup you don't want to miss right here at River Rocks Landing in Gadsden, Alabama. Tickets available now.
Riverfest, Saturday, October 1st, brought to you in part by Buffalo Rock.
Hey, slow down, buddy. This ain't Talladega, and that race car driver's number on your back window, you ain't him. Truth is, just 10 miles over the speed limit, and your chances of killing someone are 4 times higher. So forget the number on your window and memorize the one on that orange prison jumpsuit. Stop speeding before speeding stops you.
Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
Coach Nick Saban.
Helping children is very important to Miss Terry and me. As parents, it saddens us to know that there are more than 5,000 children in foster care in Alabama. These children need loving, nurturing families to care for them. We ask you to join the team and become champions for children by opening your heart, opening your home, and becoming a foster or adoptive parent.
For more information, call 1-866-4AL-KIDS. Sponsored by the Alabama Department of Human Resources, Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
WKXX, Atala, Anniston, Albertville. Your home for Fox Sports. WKXX is live for the fastest 2 hours in sports talk radio. Get ready for Chase Robinson.
He has got to be a player they can rely on in big situations.
And Gerhard Mathangani.
Has the trust of his team. Sounds like the makeup of his team is in a really good space, and I believe that's because of the culture he's curated down there.
For WKXX Live, these guys have you covered from preps to pros and everything in between. Now, let's go inside the Fox Sports 102.9 studio with Chase and Gerhard for WKXX Live.
Welcome in on a Wednesday. It is WKXX Live, Fox Sports 102.9. It is Chase and Gerhard with you until 4 o'clock, as we've got a lot to talk about over the next couple of hours. You can be a part of the show as well, 256-413-1029. All of our guests appear on the All-American HVAC Service hotline. We'll be joined coming up in just a little bit at 2:15. Miles Holcomb, Southside head football coach, will join us to talk about their big game with Leeds coming up this week. At 3 o'clock, Glenn Gilbo, Outkick.com, also covers the LSU Tigers, will join us to talk about LSU and Auburn coming up this weekend. And then Elliot Gaunt with Weiss Lake Tackle and Outdoor will join us for our weekly Weiss Lake Fishing Report. So a lot to get to, Gerhard, today, but got to start with baseball, because what a night last night for the Braves. Braves Mets now sit at the top of the NL East.
Yeah, this is a really interesting dynamic. Right after the All-Star break, one of the things that we highlighted was if you just took a look at the schedule, a glimpse at the schedule, it really kind of broke the Braves' way as far as the opponents that you would have to face. And this is the part of the schedule that we looked at towards the end of the year. The Marlins, who are out of the race, they faced them at the very end of the season. Meanwhile, the Washington Nationals, who we expected at the time to be out of the race, they were part of the schedule as well. Then you had teams that you were probably better than, like the Phillies that were in it, and then a West Coast road trip against some teams that weren't. It wasn't the Dodgers. It was just some of the other teams out of the West. It didn't look from the outside looking in, did not look like as tough of a schedule as the Mets. Now it didn't break that way because the West Coast road trip didn't go as planned, and they obviously split in their previous series. But this is the time we're starting to see the separation in these two teams and the separation of where they're playing right now. Both teams are playing in division games. Braves right now are playing like a team. Of the last two games, they're playing like a team that is desperate for a first-round bye. And the Mets are playing like a team just trying to hang on. And you're seeing the dynamics really play out over these last two games. It was obviously great to see another big win, but another offensive surge for the Braves, and they seem unbeatable when they get the bats going.
It was Ronald Acuna last night. He homered twice, which he's a guy who was playing good. We've seen kind of like some of these other guys has been in a slump, and I feel like he's clicking offensively again, which I think is going to be big. And they've scored 16 runs the last two games. And you think about it, you're not facing the pitching you're going to see in the postseason.
Correct.
But to get hits on these guys it's gonna help you, moving forward with whoever you play, knowing that hey, you can get out there and hit the ball.
This is a between the ear situation. It's not necessarily like you mentioned. This is not the same pitching that you'll face in the playoffs, but pitch to pitch, talent to talent, athlete to athlete, it's not that far different from what you'll see now. As far as the overall scheme that you'll see, as far as the overall pitchers that you'll see, the number of pitchers that you'll see will be a little bit different. But I think being able to get it inside of your head that you are able to hit, whether it's you're struggling with a curveball or you're not hitting the fastball really well, or you're just not seeing things. As of right now, this little 4-game stretch, especially the last 3 where they've put up 8 runs in all 3 games, they're really starting to feel how they need to get the bats turned around in the postseason. It'd be different if they were winning games, but they were winning 2-3, or they're winning 3-1. They're winning 1-0. That's one kind of win, which I think is okay. But I think for the Braves to have success in the postseason, they need to play offense, and that's what they're giving them right now.
Yeah, you're right. Looking at pitching last night, Monday night, it was Bryce Elder with the complete game shutout. Mueller only able to go 4 2/3 last night. He gave up 6 hits, 2 runs, had 4 strikeouts, did give up a home run and a walk. But we saw Colin McHugh, AJ Minter, Jesse Chavez, and Tyler Matzik all in the game last night. So you think back to Monday night, we said it was good that you were able to rest some of those arms, some of those bullpen arms. They didn't have to go in Monday night. Had to use 4 of them last night. But that's okay heading into Game 3 tonight.
Yeah, it balances out a little bit. I mean, you don't normally see a lot of complete games. It's the first time in, I think you mentioned, 30-plus years that you saw it. So I think it balances out just a little bit. And I think baseball does that. Over the last 2 games, you have 16 runs, and you've used 7 pitchers. And so, I mean, that's what you would normally use. And so I wouldn't consider this, some grand thing. I think the big thing is that they're using some of the arms that won't be called upon. Hey, go give us 7 in the postseason. They're using these guys now, and they're stealing victories.
Yeah, and so a great win last night. Again, the Mets lose to Miami 6-4. Now the Braves do have 3 games with the Marlins next week after the Mets series. That was a series that was kind of shifted to the back end of the season. That was originally scheduled for the front end during the lockout. But so this sets up where this series with the Mets this weekend will decide the NL East. And changes possibly could come with the hurricane, with the storms coming through. I was just reading a few minutes ago, the MLB, they are discussing it with the 2 teams to come up with a contingency plan, but nothing announced yet. But I expect something to change with this.
Yeah, so do I. I mean, whether it's a doubleheader on Saturday, whether it's a situation where they move the game, I think that's kind of out of the window. Seeing as to some of the things that I saw, it's kind of funny that Buck Showalter said, kind of tongue in cheek that that they know the plan. So obviously there is a plan there. They're just trying to roll it out. I think it's more so the logistics, trying to make sure they can get everything in before that storm hits. And of course, there's so many. There's a few knowns, but there's also a few unknowns as it comes to Ian, as it relates to everybody else. How much water the city of Atlanta will get, and that's the reason why the preemptive call for the state of emergency in Georgia, just because you just don't know. We expect South Georgia to get a lot of rain, but we don't necessarily know about the city of Atlanta. So we'll find out pretty soon from Major League Baseball. It'll probably be a joint thing between baseball, the Braves, and the Mets to find out what the plan will be as they move forward for that series.
Well, it is a huge, exciting series that begins Friday there in Atlanta, and that's another big thing. I've seen people say, well, why don't you just move it somewhere else? Well, the Braves do not want it to be anywhere else but in Truist Park.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, with really any series, you want it to be at home, but especially in this one, the home field advantage is a big thing, and it's going to be really important for them to be able to have home field advantage. So now it's working out the details to make sure they can still have it, and at the same time keep the fans safe and keep the players safe, and as well as stay out of harm's way, and also not have to try to play in any adverse conditions.
Yep. So Braves in Washington will go with Game 3 tonight. That is up in Washington in the nation's capital. You'll hear that one at 4:50 for the Ford leadoff show. 6:05 first pitch. Odorizzi on the mound for Atlanta. Again, able to use another guy to save up Fried, Morton, and Wright for this weekend with the Mets.
Yeah, and that's another situation where the longer you can go without having to throw your aces out there, and the longer that you can hold off those arms for not only this Mets series, but also for when the postseason begins. Obviously, I think the best situation for the Braves would be take care of business against the Mets, get the first round bye, then everybody's healthy.
Yeah.
But just in case that's not the situation, and the Mets ended up winning the series, or the Mets ended up winning the division, and then you have to immediately start playing postseason games, well, then you're in perfect situation for that as well. So you're trying to play out both hands, understanding the best possible situation will be a first round bye, and everybody's good.
Yep. So exciting times for the Braves, tied for first place in the NL East, and you can hear Game 3 with that national series coming up tonight here on Fox Sports 102.9. We've got, again, a lot to get to today. High school football, most of them carrying on Friday night. Some were talk of moving some games. Some teams did move their games to tomorrow night, but most staying at Friday night as the weather will not be bad here. And one of those games that I'm really excited about, Gerhard, features Southside and Leeds. That's a huge Class 5A game.
Oh, monster. This is a monster game in this region. We knew it going into the season that this could be big, but as we now have gotten closer to it, and we're seeing the dynamics play out, and as far as how much this game will relate to the way everything stacks up at the end of the season, it's obviously become really big. Both teams undefeated in region play. Going into the matchup, Southside a really strong season overall at 5-1. So, and Lee's undefeated. It's one of those things where I think that this is to me. You don't want to call it a region championship because there's still Moody out there that still has some say so in this. Alexandria has one loss, and so can things break their way? There's still a lot of football to be played here, but two undefeated teams in region play this late in the season will means a lot's on the line as far as if not region championship, definitely region seeding.
Yeah, and so we're going to talk about that game coming up next with the head coach of the Southside Panthers, Coach Miles Holcomb, will join us next here on WKXX Live. Keep it locked in right here on Fox Sports 102.9. It is Jason Gerhard with you on this Wednesday afternoon.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking. Now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
What we do is who we are. Whether you're a nurse, a carpenter, a truck driver, or a salesperson, our work defines us. And when we can do what we love and help others at the same time, that's when you know you found a rewarding career. The Alabama Department of Labor is committed to helping you get there with on-the-job training, work-based learning, apprenticeships, and more. So when you're ready to begin your next career, ask yourself, who do you want to be? Sponsored by the ADOL, ACRI, ABA, and this station.
The Department of Labor can help workers and employers with unemployment claims related to COVID-19. File claims and get more information at labor.alabama.gov. This message is sponsored by the Alabama Department of Labor, the Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station, with funding provided by the U.S. Department of Labor, Employment and Training Administration, and the Federal Workforce Opportunity Innovation Act. An equal opportunity employer program, auxiliary aids and services available upon request to individuals with disabilities.
Home protection means feeling safe and secure. That's why the Alabama Electronic Security Board of Licensure created a special website where you can check to see if your home security company is licensed in our state. Check before you hire a new provider, and if they come door to door, never feel pressured. Check their license for your security at licensedsecurity.org. This message brought to you by the Alabama Electronic Security Board of Licensure and the Alabama Broadcasters Association.
Alana was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, and it's cancer. As a parent, when you're told this type of news, you're going to do whatever you can do for your babies. When we got to St. Jude is when I realized that, no, you're not going to get a bill for anything. I don't have to worry about it. They're saying we're going to help save her, and we're not going to charge you anything. This is what we do.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Put a frog in boiling water and it'll jump right out. But put a frog in cool water and slowly heat it up, that frog will boil. As veterans, we tell ourselves the lie that we can handle anything. We let the water boil. You are not a frog. If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach. Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
At the YMCA, finding your why starts by making an impact together, touching lives for the better. It can be the gift of time or treasure, supporting a community through talent without measure. Here, compassion fuels commitment, finding fulfillment through enrichment, serving and improving. What a way to live, and what a gift it is to give. Find your why and get involved today at ymca.org for a better us.
Employment First strives to include people with disabilities in the workplace. The initiative benefits the companies that invest in people with disabilities, and the employees become well-qualified workers and self-sufficient members of the community. Turn a disability into an opportunity. For more information, go to www.acdd.org or call 1-800-232-2158. Sponsored by the Alabama Council for Developmental Disabilities, the Alabama Disabilities Advocacy Program, the ABA, and this station.
If you're a fan of high school, college, and professional sports, you are in the right place. Fox Sports 102.9.
We continue on this Wednesday afternoon. It is Fox Sports 102.9. Chase Robinson and Gerhard Mathangani along with you each and every afternoon. And we're going to talk some Southside Panther football now as the Panthers geared up for a big one coming up this Friday night against the Leeds Green Wave. And we welcome on Southside head coach Miles Holcomb. Coach, great to talk to you. Appreciate your time this afternoon.
Yes, sir, Chase. I appreciate you. I appreciate you having me on.
Well, Coach, you got a big one coming up this week. But before we get into that, just looking at the season so far, you start off with a loss to Gunnersville there in week 0, but wins in the column ever since. Talk about kind of what you've seen from your team, maybe how you've seen the team develop so far as we're halfway through this high school football season.
Well, we knew opening up with a program like Gunnersville and with a coach like Coach Reese that we were going to figure out kind of where we were early on in the season and the things felt like we were good at and the things we felt like we probably needed to correct and fix. And when you go back and you look at it, I mean, we had 3 early turnovers that led to 3 scores. We had a little bit of a shank punt. I felt like that when we were down 21-0 at halftime after the way the first 6 minutes in that game kind of transpired, I was pretty pleased with just the resolve of our kids and how hard they were playing, and they never gave in and kept finding a way to just keep making plays in the second half to give us a chance to stay in the ball game. When you go back and you watch that tape and you're like, all right, well, we got some good kids, we got some good players. I think the character of our team is where it needed to be. And so we felt good going forward. After that one, I think we put some good weeks of practice together, which is something that, we were trying to do this year. Really, the biggest goal was just to try to eliminate the bad football. And then, the first 6 minutes of the game happened, with the opener, and you're like, well, Lord mercy, we didn't eliminate bad football there. But I feel like that, we've done some things going forward in the last 5 that we've tried to eliminate the bad football and highlight the good. Kids have done a good job preparing each week, and then I feel like our staff has done a really good job putting kids in position to be successful on Friday night. I mean, that's a testament to them. It's a testament to our kids by being willing to prepare mentally and physically through the week. And so, put ourselves in a position. But while we talk to the kids after the win, the best part about winning the 5th one is you get a chance to win the 6th one. So nobody cares about what you've done up to this point. It's all about what are you going to do next. And so that's kind of the message we've been preaching to our kids.
It's good stuff. And Coaches Gerhard here, one of the things that you have done, though, and I'm sure it's one of the things that you talked about, how, nobody, really cares what you have done, but some of the things you are doing well, and I know you want to carry forward, is what you're doing on offense. As of right now, last I checked, if you take that Gunnersville game out, you're averaging about 44 points per game in this winning streak. What are some of the things you're doing offensively in order to make this run?
Well, I think, offensively, it's about players. We try to have a good plan going into each week. But, the 7 guys up front with our 5 offensive linemen and our tight end and fullback have been, instrumental. Obviously, everybody knows Teague, everybody knows Mason, and the things that he's been able to accomplish in these first 6. I think he's sitting at 1,004 yards rushing, got 10 touchdowns, 24 yards through the air, and then he's got a receiving touchdown also that he got last week. So, he's been instrumental for us, obviously. There's no doubt about it. Cody Roberts is another kid. I think he's averaging 12 yards a touch. That's pretty incredible numbers when you think about, just how hard it is to move the football sometimes. And you get a guy and you're like, good Lord, he's averaging 12 yards a carry every time he touches the ball. So whether we throw it to him or whether we hand it to him, which, is good. I feel like Gage has made strides. I think he'll be the first one to tell you that he wasn't pleased with how he played in week 1 against Gunnersville. And then, I think he had probably his best game the other night. I felt like literally he made every single decision he made the other night was the right decision. We missed a couple throws, but every decision he made was the right decision to make, which is a huge step forward for us because he's the one that kind of controls it. He's the one that controls the whole thing on offense. We go as he goes, and we go as those guys up front go. Those are kind of the unsung heroes of what we do on offense and across the board. We're fairly young across the board. We got 2 seniors on that group, but our tackles, you got Jake Stewart and Jamin Brown. Our guards, you got Mark Fuller and Reese Thomason, and then Jacob Strunk in the middle, and then our tight end Bennett Reeves and our fullback Cole Chastain. Those guys are a huge piece of what we do because for us, we've been able to run the football and get the running game going early in the night, which kind of maybe pulls 1 or 2 more guys into the box, which opens it up for our receivers because we're pretty dynamic out there. We feel like on the perimeter.
Yeah, we're talking with Southside head football coach Miles Holcomb this afternoon, and you got a big one Friday night. You play in a very tough region, and you find one of the toughest teams in this 5A Region 6 with the Leeds Green Wave, a team with a lot of tradition over the years. What's the Leeds look like as you've been prepping this week? What challenges are the Green Wave going to bring into the game Friday night?
I mean, they look about like you'd expect them to. Really well coached, really physical, really athletic. They're big up front. Defensive line is big. They probably the strength of their team is up front on both sides of the ball. They're really, really good. Obviously, they got Kavion, 4-star kid. It's a really good player, but the Barge kid on the other side of him we feel like is also a really good player. So having two bookends, that kind of gives you a little bit of an issue. But we feel like that. We still have to be us, and we still have to do what we have to do. I mean, this is something that we've talked to our kids about a lot, finding a way to play our best ball when our best ball is required. And, I mean, if we're going to come out successful on Friday, we will have to play our best game to date. I mean, there's no doubt about it. We're going to have to play our best to give ourselves a chance to win that game. Coach Hood does an incredible job. I mean, those guys are where they're supposed to be all the time. They're doing the things they're supposed to be doing. And offensively, they're big up front. They got the quarterback back. They got a receiver that they kind of remind me of us a little bit. I mean, they know who their guys are. They know who they want to get the ball to. They do, creative things to get their guys the ball in space that they want to get it to. It should be a fun matchup. I hope it's a fun matchup. I hope it's one of those games that I told our kids on Sunday, like, these are the games that the reason you play high school football is to get a chance to play in games like this. We feel like we've had a good start, kind of bounced back after the Gunnersville game, and then found a way to keep racking up wins. I mean, it's hard to win football games. Like, I don't care who you're playing, where you're playing them at, what classification it is. Like, it's hard to win football games, and we've been fortunate that we've won a few here in a row. And my biggest concern, I told our kids yesterday, I said my biggest concern is we forgot what it felt like to lose. Because it's been a little over a month, and I was like, we all remember how we felt the Sunday after we got in here from the Gunnersville game, trying to get ready for Hoax Bluff, and everybody had a workman's mentality because they didn't want to feel that way again, and we felt that in a little bit, and we don't want to feel it, but we're not focused on the outcome, but we're motivated by it, and right now we've not had to be motivated by a loss. And so, finding something inside of us to keep pushing forward and to keep getting better and to keep finding ways to get better at the mundane stuff, because we're getting in this part of the season where everybody kind of knows what the Sunday routine is, the Monday routine, Tuesday, Wednesday, it's all kind of the same. What you do those days, against the scheme changes a little bit, but the plan is the plan. And so we got to keep finding ways to get better at doing the mundane stuff and, not getting tired of finding ways to get better. But I feel like our kids are up to the challenge. I feel like they've done a good job this week, really being focused and locked in because they know who we're going to play. I mean, they know how tough of an atmosphere it's going to be. But at the same time, these are the ones you want to play in. These are the ones you want to be good enough to give yourself a chance to play in. And so we're fortunate about that.
Another thing that kind of sticks out to me is the fact that you talked about it. I think you spoke really well about not having motivation and finding a lot of times it's easier to bounce back after a loss and finding some of that motivation. Well, there's also some motivation on the schedule as well. I know you're focused on Leeds this week and you want your guys focused right there on that big game at Leeds against the Green Wave. But if you look ahead, obviously Leeds undefeated in the region. You guys are undefeated in the region. Alexandria only with one loss, and Moody before facing a really good Etowah team. How exciting is this little stretch of games before what you hope is a nice postseason run? And how much confidence have they built because of this nice winning streak?
Well, we talked at the beginning of the year that we didn't want to peak too early, that we wanted to make sure that we were doing the things we needed to do to keep finding ways to get better each week. And we knew that going into these last really 5 weeks of the season, but last 4 opponents, that there was a good chance that these next 4 were going to be playoff teams, And so if we want to make a run and we want to make some noise in 5A, we need to be prepared enough, and we need to be finding ways to look. Let's figure out what our best looks like, and this is about the time when we're going to have to start finding it because it's going to be required from us every single week. We don't have we knew how tough the region was in general when we dropped down to 5A, and we found ourselves in this region over here, and we knew that week in and week out, you better come prepared because there's going to be somebody good enough to beat you. And so starts this week. I mean, it's really started kind of the whole year, but this week especially, we know who we're about to go play. We know we got this Leeds bunch. And, we got a little bit of an off week next week, which will probably be good for our kids, kind of go back to some fundamental stuff that we need to clean up on that give us a chance to do that. And then, the 3-game stretch with Alexandria, Moody, and Etowah that, are probably 3 more playoff teams that you're trying to sharpen your edge against to get yourself ready. So, this is the part that, everybody loves watching college football on Saturdays, and nobody wants to watch Alabama and somebody that's out of the conference. But everybody loves to watch Alabama, LSU, and everybody loves to get excited about the big games. And like for us, on the rest of the games on our schedule, to us on our level, like these are raw, huge games for us. And so I'm hoping that our kids take it that way and they get excited about playing in big games and they soak up the opportunities they have to play in these type of games. And hopefully we can keep finding ways to be successful.
We're excited to see the rest of this 2022 season for the Southside Panthers. We're talking to Southside head coach Miles Holcomb. Coach, always enjoy talking to you. Appreciate your time this afternoon. We'll be keeping up with you Friday night, the rest of the season, but really appreciate your time this afternoon.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for having me on.
Thanks, buddy. Miles Holcomb, head football coach of the Southside Panthers, joins us on the All-American HVAC Service Hotline. It's going to be a fun one on Friday night. Again, you think of Leeds just as a traditional high school football powerhouse.
Yeah.
I mean, Keith Etheridge and all the state championships he's won, and Jerry Hood, their head coach now, I mean, won a couple at Clay Chalkville, and
Right.
he's got this program back clicking.
Yeah, he certainly does. And this is a program that always has great athletes. They always have good talent. And when they get the coach right, they've normally found a lot of success. Did so with Keith Etheridge. They're doing so again with Jerry Hood. One of the things that I thought was really interesting that Coach Holcomb just brought up was the fact that in that Guntersville game, they had those turnovers early, got down 21-0, lost that game 21-7. Well, if you take a look at what Guntersville done since then, that's easily their closest game. They're beating teams by an average of close to 30 points per game. So that was a very winnable game for them. So then they go into the rest of the season. Obviously, I think if you were to lay out the strength of their opponents, it's Guntersville, some form of, I'm not ranking them, I'm just putting them out there.
Yeah.
It's Guntersville, and then these next 4 games, Leeds, Moody, Alexandria, and Etowah, all right here in this next little 4-week block. So yes, Leeds represents, to me, the first of a lot of tough challenges as they move forward. It should be a fun one.
Yes, and the Alabama Sports Writers Association released top 10 rankings for this week. We'll look at those on the other side of this break, as it is it's crunch time in high school football. As we enter the second half of the season and second half of region play, we'll talk about that when we come back. It is WKXX Live. Chasing Gerhard with you here on Fox Sports 102.9.
Fall is the perfect time to visit WKXX Kayak Rental and Shuttle Service, featuring primitive camping, RV hookups, and a bathhouse. Camp, fish, or kayak the beautiful Chattooga River that maintains a great water level throughout the fall. Single kayaks $30, doubles $50, and includes gear and shuttle. Paddle or camp with WKXX in Galesville, open Saturday and Sunday till the end of the season. For reservations, call 256-300-0013 or visit WKXX on Facebook.
I'm Randy Gunner, pastor of Meadowbrook Church in Gadsden. I want to invite you to listen to our weekly service this Sunday at 11 o'clock here on WKXX 102.9. You'll hear music that is elevating and a message from me that is relatable to your life. For more information about this service or Meadowbrook, you can visit mbchurch.com.
Each moment of courage is a step towards overcoming opioid addiction. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to talk about it. Let's face addiction together, one act of courage at a time.
The 24/7 helpline is 844-307-1760. Again, the number is 844-307-1760. Or go to courageforall.com.
This message brought to you by the ADMH, the ABA, and this station.
Not littering is not hard. If you've accumulated trash in your vehicle, don't throw it out the window. Throw it in a can at the gas pump. Throw it in a can at a storefront. Throw it in a can at work. Or throw it in the can at home. Just don't drop it on Alabama. Not littering is not hard. Brought to you by People Against a Littered State, the Alabama Department of Transportation, the Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
I've got a math question for you. When you add tolerance, subtract prejudice, and multiply efforts to treat one another with respect, what do you get? Less division. And school sports have it down to a science. Looking for an example of what can happen when we realize there's more that unites us than divides us? Look no further than high school sports in Alabama.
This message presented by the Alabama High School Athletic Association and the Alabama High School Athletic Directors and Coaches Association.
At YMCA Summer Camp, kids find their why. Friendship and fun, a world of adventure beneath a golden sun. Running, laughing, full of wonder. Being themselves is second nature. Summer camp is where they begin to unlock the confidence that lies within. When kids find new passions, they find their why. Summer camp season starts soon. Learn more at ymca.org for a better us.
Hi, I'm Dr. Shelley Flace with today's tip for kids from the American Academy of Pediatrics. The nicotine in e-cigarettes is addictive and can harm brain development. That's why I worry about teens who try e-cigarettes. Many young people use pod-based e-cigarettes like Juul, which have high levels of nicotine. And because teens' brains are still developing, they can quickly become addicted. The tobacco industry uses fruit and candy flavors to attract young people, often turning them into lifelong users. For more, visit healthychildren.org.
Hey, slow down, buddy. This ain't Talladega, and that race car driver's number on your back window, you ain't him. Truth is, just 10 miles over the speed limit, and your chances of killing someone are 4 times higher. So forget the number on your window and memorize the one on that orange prison jumpsuit. Stop speeding before speeding stops you.
Drive safe, Alabama. A message from your Alabama Department of Transportation.
Hey, Gadsden. We are your local sports station. Fox Sports 102.9 and 99.7.
It is WKXX Live. Chase and Gerhard with you this afternoon as we make our way up until 4 o'clock here on WKXX Live. As high school football, we roll into the second half of the season and continue region play this week after a week of non-region games. But as tradition on Wednesdays, the Alabama Sports Writers Association releases the top 10 rankings for each classification. So we're going to walk through those now, and we'll spotlight some of our Northeast Alabama teams. We'll start in Class 7A, where the Auburn Tigers, Auburn High School, is number one once again. They're 6-0 on the season. They received 18 first-place votes. Fairhope, 2, they had 1 first-place vote. And then Thompson has moved up to number 3. They got 1 first-place vote, but we've kind of seen them inch their way up in this poll. They started off the season with 2 losses to 2 really good powerhouse high school football teams. But folks are seeing this top team is not down. They are still just as good as they have been.
Most certainly. And I think you're the one who mentioned it right after they won their first game back in state. Here comes Thompson again. And I expected Thompson to go nowhere. You mentioned it. Yes, 2 losses, but none of those teams were in state. It's Buford, Georgia, one of the best teams in the country. It's another team out of Tennessee and Lipscomb Academy. This is a powerhouse schedule. And Coach Freeman and their staff over there, they created the schedule to make sure they're ready for 7A football. And you're seeing as they come back in state, they're taking care of business, and the pollsters are recognizing it.
Yep. Hoover comes in at number 4. You got Central Phoenix City 5, Hewitt Trustful 6, Enterprise 7, Dothan 8, Opelika 9, and Tuscaloosa County 10. So that is Class 7A. Class 6A, Saraland jumps to the top. They received 11 first-place votes. They're 6-0. Clay Chalkville received 7 first-place votes. They are at number 2. Theodore is number 3 at 6-0. Hillcrest Tuscaloosa received the remaining 2 first-place votes. There's 20 votes that are placed. Hillcrest Tuscaloosa 6-0, Mountain Brook 5, Hartselle 6, Pinson Valley 7, Muscle Shoals 8, Carver Montgomery 9, Decatur 10. We saw that 6-0 Hartselle team come into Oxford on Friday night and get a big win over the Yellow Jackets.
Monster win. I was there for the second half when they started that run, and this team looked sensational. They scored in just about every aspect of the game. They have a quarterback in Jack Smith who's really big, really strong, and fast. And then also just by the sheer nature of the way that it worked out from an irony perspective, I got the chance to see Hillcrest Tuscaloosa in the game highlights when they faced off against Gadsden City. That's a really good football team as well. I'm not a bit surprised as to the reason why they got 2 first-place votes in here. It's interesting not seeing Clay Chalkville at the top. Of course, they lost to Thompson, so somebody had to go up to number 1. So it is Saraland at number 1, but I won't be a bit surprised to see if the Cougars are right back up on top there. Clay Chalkville only dropped down 1 point or 1 spot. It lets you know that the Pulsars still think really high of Clay Chalkville.
Yep. And so that is Class 6A. Looking at Class 5A, you got UMS Wright, number 1. They received 19 of the 21st place votes. The Leeds Green Wave, we were just talking about Southside Leeds Friday night. Leeds number 2 at 5-0. The Gunnersville Wildcats, they received that other first place vote. They are 6-0. Moody as number 4, Pleasant Grove 5, Ramsey 6, Gulf Shores 7, Viger 8, Beauregard 9, and Eufaula 10.
Yeah, this is a really interesting poll because you talked about UMS right there at the top, but there's a lot of good teams, here on this side. You have Leeds, who Southside plays this week. You have Gunnersville, who Southside already played, picked up a first place vote in the top 5. Moody, who Southside will play coming up a little bit later on. Pleasant Grove, who's been a perennial power in this class. So has Ramsey. Then you have Arab, who got some votes here. They weren't in the top 10, but they ended up receiving votes. And Southside also receiving a vote as well. So it's good to see. And I think that 5A is going to be really competitive, both north to south.
Yeah, I think so as well. And that should be really fun to see who comes out of Class 5A to represent the North and the South. Moving into Class 4A now, you've got Montgomery Catholic, number 1. They have 16 first place votes. Handley 2, they received 4. Andalusia 3, Anniston 4, Aniana 5, Priceville 6, Jacksonville 7, Northside 8, Cherokee County 9, and TR Miller 10.
Here you're starting to see just how strong the region is as Hanley and Anniston get ready to do battle this week. And then Aniana is getting ready to do battle with Etowah. So the two regions here kind of in our immediate area, they have a couple of monster matchups this week here in Class 4A, but you're also seeing the dynamic and the strength of all of them. And Etowah is the number 2 team as far as votes go. So ostensibly they're number 12 in the state. And I'll tell you what, it makes some really interesting dynamics as far as games this week.
I think with 4A and 5A both, when you see the Northeast Alabama teams in these polls, I think these are games that we may see again in the playoffs. You think of a Hanley Anniston or maybe a Leeds Moody or a Southside in there as well. These are games we could definitely see. That's just how good these football teams are.
That certainly is. And then it kind of puts a second wrinkle to that. Not only will it be a game that you see in the playoffs, but you might know who's at home in the playoffs in that matchup in case we do see it again based on the regular season contest.
Should be really fun to watch. In Class 3A, Mars Hill Bible, they are number 1. They received 13 first place votes. Gordo, number 2, they received 3 first place votes. Piedmont, number 3, they fall from 1 to 3. They received 2 first place votes. Opp is number 4. They received a first place vote. And then we got Winfield 5, St. James 6, Houston Academy 7, Mobile Christian 8, Dadeville 9, and Fayette County 10.
I like the pollsters, what they did here, because it's not one of those situations where every loss counts the same. And it's so good to see that the pollsters are understanding that Piedmont's 2 losses are against the number 9 team right now in Cherokee County in Class 4A and the number 4 team right now in Class 4A in Cherokee County. So the way that the points ended up, they still finished 3rd, and that to me makes a lot of sense for where they are. But 3A is just like 5A. I talked about it earlier. I think North and South, there's some really strong teams there. So I mean, I know it's projecting in the future about the playoffs, but as of right now, it's really shaping up to be entertaining.
Yeah, 3A is going to be fun. 2A, the Fife Red Devils unanimously, all 20 first place votes for the Fife Red Devils. Number 1, Highland Home 2, Ayrton 3, Aliceville 4, Isabella 5, Pisgah number 6 after they suffered their first loss this past week. Reeltown 7, Vincent 8, BB Comer 9, and GW Long 10.
To me, this is obviously everybody's chasing the Fife Red Devils, and Fife deservedly so, getting all of the first place votes here. But this is a really interesting classification in my eyes, because right now you have, I mean, another big matchup this week, one that you talked about earlier that we could see again in the playoffs. Number 5 Isabella against number 9 BB Comer. That's a game this upcoming week. Good to see Pisgah still in this thing. Good to see Reeltown still in this thing, as well as GW Long, even though they have two losses, GW Long and BB Comer with those 2 losses, but still they are ranked in the top 10. But once again, everybody's still chasing Fife. And how about Highland Home? Let's give a shout out to them. Made the basketball Final Four, the Flying Squadron, now number 2 here in this poll. So an athletics program that's turned some heads here lately.
Yeah, they sure have. They're in Class 2A. Class 1A, Elba number 1, they had 15 votes. Leroy 2, they had 5 votes. Linden 3, Sweetwater 4, Brantley 5, Valley Head 6, Spring Garden, the Panthers number 7 at 5-1, Meek 8, Lochapoka 9, and Pickens County 10.
Yeah, and some other dynamic, really great matchups coming your way this week in Class 1A. We focus a lot on the South, and right down this week, you got number 3 versus number 4. You got Linden and Sweetwater hooking up. You also have Brantley hooking up against Georgiana, who's who's undefeated right now, and Brantley is sitting there at number 5. But teams that are here in this area, Valley Head, obviously turning some heads this year, as well as Spring Garden. Once again, that one blemish on their record. And it'll be good to see just how all these teams kind of start to stack up as we continue on through the season.
Yeah, and this has been a really fun high school football season so far. We've got a lot of football left, and we'll be covering it for you here on WKXX Live. And, of course, we will have some high school football coming up for you Friday as Oaks Bluff plays host to the Plainview Bears. Legendary coach Del Pruitt coming to Oaks Bluff to lead the Bears. And that will come your way Friday night, 6:30 airtime, 7 o'clock kick between Oaks Bluff and Plainview right here on Fox Sports 102.9. We'll jump to a break here, talk a little JSU women's basketball coming up because practice has started. Believe it or not, college basketball teams are getting out on the court to begin practice. We'll hear what Coach Rick Petrie has to say to start this 2022 season. We'll do that next here on WKXX Live.
Scott Young and S&G Machine announced their new line of deer feeders. These all-metal feeders are virtually indestructible and come in sizes that hold from 200 to 600 pounds of feed, so your trophy buck is never disappointed. And they're built tough, so tough, even your grandkids will still be using them. The same for their 8-foot 1- and 2-person hunting stands. S&G Machine, your full-service machine shop, where custom metalwork, gates, fencing, signs, and fire pits are no problem. On Main Street, Oaks Bluff, and on Facebook.
Fall is storage time at Graceland of Gadsden with almost 100 portable buildings ready for immediate delivery. And right now, save 10% on any of the 10x16s in stock. Graceland's most popular size. Perfect for utility and garden sheds, a lofted or side lofted barn, or get the model with a 6x6 roll-up door and store even the largest more. Select Max Steel metal buildings also on sale. Save now at Graceland of Gadsden, where a single payment down delivers when you rent to own. Highway 278 East Oaks Bluff and Graceland of Gadsden on Facebook.
We're excited to announce that Riverfest at River Rocks is coming back to Gadsden, Alabama with live music from Drake White, Anderson Eats, and opening entertainment from Casey Tyndall. We know it's football season, and we've got you covered at our tailgate area where we'll have your Alabama and Auburn games ready to go. Come see a lineup you don't want to miss right here at River Rocks Landing in Gadsden, Alabama. Tickets available now.
Riverfest, Saturday, October 1st, brought to you in part by Buffalo Rock.
You already know credit cards deliver easy buying power, but a Visa credit card from Family Savings Credit Union gives you even more. Save big every month with our super low rates and no annual fee. Plus, you'll have a chance to win free gas for a month when you transfer $1,000 or more to your new card. Apply for a Visa credit card online at FamilySavingsCU.com. Family Savings Credit Union, your best financial friend. Contact Family Savings for contest rules, terms, and conditions. Federally insured by NCUA.
There are no words to describe it. The isolation, the boredom, the loneliness. If you're wondering where your teenage son or daughter's spirit went, you're hardly alone. The past year has been devastating, especially for them. But here's the good news. They might just find it again, playing high school sports. Workouts that stimulate, teammates and coaches that care. The sense of belonging so many of us have been missing lately. That's what school sports are all about. The sense of achievement is real, and the camaraderie is hard to beat. Coping with uncertainty is difficult, but school sports can help the teenagers in your family start feeling like themselves again. Encourage them to give it a try. High school sports, it's so much more than a game.
This message presented by the Alabama High School Athletic Association and the Alabama High School Athletic Directors and Coaches Association.
Hey, Joe, I thought you were retired.
Living on a fixed income is tough. So here I am, an essential worker.
I know. I mean, food prices are going up every day. Thank goodness for benefitscheckup.org.
Benefits what?
benefitscheckup.org. It's a free website where people over 60 can find help to pay for food, medicine, even utilities. I got $1,200 a year in benefits. Maybe it can help you.
Brought to you by the National Council on Aging.
To protect his family from disaster, Steve used his camera phone.
Done.
By taking pictures of his important documents, Steve can always have them stored online. Learn more simple disaster prep tips at ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Text and whatever. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hey, Fort Payne. We are your local sports station. Fox Sports 102.9 and 99.7.
It is WKXX Live, Fox Sports 102.9. Chase and Gerhard here with you this afternoon as college basketball is right around the corner, believe it or not. I mean, we're just a little over a month away as we near October, as November, beginning of November, college basketball will get going. So, I mean, we're just getting rolling with football here and basketball around the corner. And I want to talk a little Gamecock women's basketball as you think back to last year. Really a historic season for Jacksonville State. They finished the year, Gerhard, there 24-8. That was their best record in Division I program history, and 15-1 at home. I mean, that says a lot about this Gamecock women's program from last year.
Most certainly. And those that are unfamiliar with ASUN basketball, this is a really, really strong league.
Yeah.
Florida Gulf Coast spent most of the season inside the top 25 of the national polls, and Liberty was really good as well, and Jacksonville State. So this wasn't some JSU moved into a new conference and just cruised through a bad league.
Yeah.
It wasn't that at all. This is a really, really strong league. And I think there's a lot of excitement there for JSU because they played well last year, played a really challenging schedule, played against the likes of Vanderbilt, played at Vanderbilt, played Sanford, who's typically always good in the non-region part of their schedule, played Alabama State, who's in state, played, of course, Houston, and then as well as Chattanooga before they entered conference play. And then they obviously played really well in conference as well. You have a lot of players from last year's team that returned this year. I think they found a nice synergy last year as well, especially offensively. Coach Petrie's teams are always going to play good defense, but they played some good offense last year, and I think players found their roles. And it'll be interesting to see what comes back this year because there's a lot of familiar names that made the run last year on the historic season that are back in uniform this year.
Yeah, quite a few names, and we'll talk about those in just a second. But let's listen to what Coach Rick Petrie, Gamecock head coach, has to say going into his 10th season as head coach of the Gamecocks.
Well, you know, this is why we do what we do, to put ourselves in a position to start a season. This is my personally my 23rd as the head women's basketball coach in Division I, and so you know, this is always an exciting time. Years ago, we waited to the middle of October, but for this past several years, we've started 6 weeks before our first game. So So we're raring to go and hitting the ground running. We have 8 of our top 10 players back. We have a chance to be really good if we stay healthy and if we can blend the new with the old. Whenever every team is different. Even though you have a lot of people back, you do have people that have matriculated out, and you got new people coming in. And so blend is important, and we're working on that right now. We brought some pieces in that we think are pretty capable that can help us. And so it's about incorporating them in with the players that we've already got. But if we're healthy and if we blend well, this is a team that on paper should be pretty good.
That was Rick Petrie, Jacksonville State women's basketball coach. And you got Amari Martin coming back, who's a key piece. Kyra Williams, Kennedy Gavin, a grad student there. Nakia Thompson, Kiera Griffin, a lot of these ladies that we've seen the past couple of years that really helped the Gamecocks get to where they were last year are back. And then you add Kiana Montgomery from Anniston. You add Brooklyn McDaniel from Cleveland County.
Right.
Some local flavor in there as well.
Yeah, that's also always good to see as well whenever you get some players that are from the area. One of the returning players also from the local area, and Kyra Williams, who played her high school basketball right across the street there at Jacksonville State. It's a team that averaged 66 points per game and gave up 58. When a bulk of the 66 that you scored and the majority of the team that led as far as the defensive charge that gave up less than 60 points per game were all back, it really leads to a lot of excitement. And I think that there's a lot of, I think Coach Petrie said it there, you have a quiet excitement about what it is you're trying to do because you understand, yes, on paper, this is supposed to be a really good team, but you don't win games on paper. You got to go out and play them. And I think that this team is in a good position to where, and they won't buy into the hype of what they did last year. They'll be predicted really high whenever the polls come out for whoever is supposed to win the A-Sun. They'll get everybody's best shot, as this is likely the last year that Jacksonville State is in the A-Sun before they go to Conference USA. Every team is going to give them a little, they want a parting shot, much like we see when other teams change conferences. And so, will be a tough team, I think, to beat, and especially if they can get their minds right and integrate the new players, as Coach Petrie just said, they'll be in good shot.
They have an exhibition game coming up November the 1st against Montevallo. The season begins on November the 7th. That is a Monday night at Pete Matthews Coliseum, as the Gamecock women will welcome in Shorter. They've got Georgia on the schedule in Athens, November the 13th. They will go to Ole Miss there in Oxford, Mississippi, December 11th. So, and then you add in Samford and Davidson and East Tennessee State, and some really good teams there on the schedule for the Gamecock women. Yeah,
this is going to be really exciting, I think, for them. They played a really tough schedule last year, which I think really helped them as they made their run into the A-Sun, because, like I said, A-Sun women's basketball is very, very tough. This is a league sometimes that can maneuver two teams into the women's NCAA tournament. And at the same time, Jacksonville State got a chance to taste a little postseason as well, going to the women's NIT. So this is a team, I think, that has got a lot of really good and interesting things going for it. And also, they don't have to have one player that just dominates a game. Yeah. Last year, Amari Martin led the team in scoring at just 10 points per game. Kennedy Gavin, who's also back, averaged about 9 points per game. She's a double double Meanwhile, Nakia Thompson, who's also back, averaged about 7 points per game. So you have a situation to where they get balanced scoring, and a lot of those players are back. So if they could incorporate some of the new players with what they have coming back, I think it would be really interesting, but a really tough test in the non-conference before they turn the calendar to 2023.
Yep. And so practice beginning for the Gamecock women and men. Still awaiting the men's schedule to be released. When it does, we'll pass that along to you. We've got more football to get to, though. Glenn Gilbo of Outkick.com and covers the LSU Tigers will join us to preview this LSU-Auburn game coming up this weekend. We'll do that on the other side to start hour number 2 here on Fox Sports 102.9.
And he drops back to pass. Well, looks like there's a flag on the play. Let's go to the officials.
There is no flag on the play. I just had to tell everyone about the amazing deal I got at the Kia store.
Celebrate good times, come on.
Kick off your season with lower prices and exceptional trade-in values at the Kia stores, Anniston, Oxford, and Rainbow City, Gadsden. Are you stuck in your loan or lease? The Kia store wants to get you released. For a limited time, get up to $2,000 over Kelley Blue Book fair market value for any trade, so you can drive a new, more fuel-efficient Kia for less. We have a great selection of new Kias with more arriving daily, including the all-new 2023 Sportage SUV, plus Telluride and Sorento SUVs. All available with zero down payment and super low financing. Worried about your credit? Don't sweat it. We partnered with even more aggressive lenders that will push to approve your credit, even if it's less than perfect. At the Kia store, Anniston, Oxford, and Rainbow City, Gadsden, or online at mykiastore.com. Subject to lender approval. Offers not combined.
Hey, it's Chase from WKXX Live. Let me tell you about my friends at All American HVAC Service. So the air condition went out here at the studio, and I just had to make one call. That was to All American HVAC Service. They're going to be efficient and thorough in getting the job done and doing it right. And they now offer refrigeration services, service contracts, and they can work on your commercial equipment as well. So do what I did and call All American HVAC Service at 256-393-0104. That's All American HVAC Service.
The Furniture Shop, Lazy Boy Comfort Studio in Albertville and Henniger strives to provide quality furniture for every lifestyle. Choose from entertainment centers, bedroom suites, dining tables, home accessories, bedding, and Lazy Boy recliners, sofas, and chairs. The Furniture Shop, Lazy Boy Comfort Studio is located on Highway 431 in Albertville and Highway 75 in Henniger.
The Alabama Department of Archives and History presents a new exhibit, Alabama Radio Moments, on view through May 31st, 2023. The exhibit explores ways in which radio influenced the lives of Alabamians in the 20th century, how they learned about current events, enjoyed sports and music, and connected with the world beyond their local community. The Alabama Archives is located in downtown Montgomery, and admission is always free. For more information, visit archives.alabama.gov. Brought to you by this station and the Alabama Broadcasters Association.
Healthy living starts with a healthy community. That's why Hoax Bluff Drug Shop, your community Health Mart pharmacy, has invested in our community's health for years. Get the personalized care and attention you deserve to stay healthy and feel good. Come see the Hoax Bluff Drug Shop difference for yourself at 5702 U.S. Highway 278 East, Hoax Bluff. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
All of us love sports, but not all sports are created equal. College sports have big budgets, dedicated alumni networks, and corporate sponsorships. Professional sports have even deeper pockets, millionaire owners, lucrative TV and radio deals, and merchandise sales. High school sports have you. Everyone agrees high school sports give us plenty of reasons to cheer. And now's a great time for us to give back. Supporting your hometown high school won't cost you much, but it will go a long way to ensuring the games we love the most are here to stay. Alabama High School Sports. They're good for our kids, good for our community, and best of all, they're good for you.
This message presented by the Alabama High School Athletic Association and the Alabama High School Athletic Directors and Coaches Association.
Watch out for people riding bikes. It's not just courteous, now it's the law. The new 3 Feet for Safety Act requires that drivers give at least 3 feet of space when passing bicyclists. More and more people are commuting and touring Alabama on bicycles. As the number of cyclists on our roads increases, so does the need for safe driving. So slow down and give cyclists 3 feet of room. Follow the rules of the road and watch out for each other. Learn more at drivesafealabama.org. Sponsored by ALDOT, the Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
WKXX, Atala, Anniston, Albertville. Your home for Fox Sports. WKXX is live for the fastest 2 hours in sports talk radio. Get ready for Chase Robinson.
He has got to be a player they can rely on in big situations.
And Gerhard Mathangani.
Has the trust of his team. Sounds like the makeup of his team is in a really good space, and I believe that's because of the culture he's curated down there.
For WKXX Live, these guys have you covered from preps to pros and everything in between. Now, let's go inside the Fox Sports 102.9 studio with Chase and Gerhard for WKXX Live.
It is hour number 2 on this Wednesday afternoon here on WKXX Live. Chase and Gerhard here with you until 4 o'clock, and we're going to talk some more college football now. We welcome on Glenn Gilbo. He's joining us now from Outkick.com and covers SEC football, and we're going to talk some LSU Tigers with Glenn today. Glenn, appreciate your time this afternoon.
Sure. How are you guys?
Doing well. Great to have you on. And LSU makes the trip up to Auburn this weekend to take on the Tigers. I want to go back, though, to just kind of how you've seen the season evolve for LSU, how you've seen maybe some progress with the Tigers since game one.
Well, the Mississippi State win was definitely significant for LSU because State came in undefeated and favored by a few points. Mike Leach was in his third year, Brian Kelly in his first year, and struggling after that State loss. And they were down 13-0 in the second quarter, and then ever since then they outscored State 21-0 in the fourth quarter and won 31-16. So that was impressive, particularly the way LSU's front seven made Will Rogers look really average. Probably it was his worst game since 2020. So that was pretty impressive. And then the other surprise or the other high point for LSU this season is quarterback Jaden Daniels. He's really been better than advertised, and looked really good in just about every game they've had. So I think they're probably going to beat Auburn handily, and then we'll see. We'll see really how good they are, how they play against Tennessee the next week.
And Vegas agrees with you on the Auburn part. We'll get to that in 1 second. I want to ask something specifically about Brian Kelly. I think from a national perspective, if you just search Twitter and whatnot, there's small clips in places where people want to throw the unlikable title on him. However, he's done really well in the transfer portal. He did well at Notre Dame, obviously, considering some of their limitations. And this team right now is 3-0 ever since that loss against Florida State. How do you think the team is responding to Brian Kelly, despite maybe some of the outside noise that might get a little conjectured?
Well, it's funny. I don't think LSU fans really liked Brian Kelly before he became their coach.
Right.
It's funny how fan bases are. I know the LSU fans used to make fun of Coach Orgeron when he was at Ole Miss, but then when he was their coach, he was great. I think Brian Kelly, he's not one of the more popular coaches just from his manner and so forth. But I've been really impressed with him. I mean, he's all business. He's reminiscent of Nick Saban in that way, and he's also got a really good sense of humor. But the bottom line is he's very organized. He knows how to hire a staff, which that was Coach Orgeron and Coach Miles' problem before him. And, I mean, he's got a very good defensive coordinator in Matt House and a very good offensive coordinator in Mike Denbrock. And, you can just see how they make adjustments. And you saw that in the Mississippi State game big time. And I think the team's going to continue to get better. I mean, now they have roster issues. They're weak in some areas, like Kelly said on Monday. But they're going to – I think Kelly's going to get the most out of this team. That might only be 7 or 8 wins, but you're just going to see him play the game right.
We're talking with Glenn Gilbo, Outkick.com. Auburn just barely escapes Missouri on Saturday in overtime. LSU goes to Jordan-Hare Stadium coming up on Saturday. And you mentioned it. There's no way around it. LSU's favored big to beat Auburn. How do you see this game going, just from what you've seen from Auburn, what you've seen from LSU? How do you see this game playing out?
Well, I think Auburn's offensive line is going to have a lot of trouble with LSU's defensive line. Auburn just lost their second starting center. They're on their third-string center now, and their offensive line was already pretty weak. Now LSU's offensive line is not very good either. In fact, they lost their left guard, Garrett Dellinger, for this game. He's got a hand injury, but I think LSU's line is a little better. I think Jaden Daniels is a little more experienced and polished at quarterback than what Auburn has. So I liked Ashford last week. I think, if LSU plays like they did against Florida State, and if they played like they did for most of the first half against Mississippi State, Auburn could win this game. Auburn still has some talent, and they have some momentum after that crazy win last week. I mean, that can turn around a team. It might be a good bet to take Auburn in the point, but I think LSU just has a better team right now than Auburn.
I was watching the press conference the other day from Brian Kelly, and he said something that you wrote about and on Outkick.com, and it was something that it made me raise my eyebrows as well when he talked about there was going to be some tough days ahead for LSU. Did you consider that a kind of a warning to LSU fans not to get too inflated about what's going on here? I thought that you wrote a great piece about it, but it was the same thing that caught me by surprise, considering the fact they're a 9-point favorite on the road in his SEC opener as LSU's coach.
Well, he was talking about the next month of the season, so he was talking about the SEC, but still, he's playing Auburn this week, and even if he is talking about Tennessee and better teams down the road, it was still kind of surprising to hear a coach say that they're going to have good days and bad days, and we're thin in some areas, and it's going to be rough. I mean, just think if Brian Harsin would have said that, he might not have made it to the end of the day. But Brian's a first year coach, so. But it was really unique to hear a coach say that. I was kind of surprised, and it came in his opening statement, and then I think some other people at the press conference were a little taken aback too, because he was asked twice about it as the press conference went on. But I mean, it is accurate though if you look at his roster. I mean, they are weak at offensive line. They're weak in the secondary, and they did a good job of filling holes with the NCAA transfer portal, but people need to realize that's not like filling holes with recruiting. Chances are if you're getting guys in the transfer portal, that means they weren't starting where they were before, or if they were starting, they were at like a lesser program, like a mid-major program or something. So just because you fill your roster out doesn't mean they're better. And I think that's what people are going to be learning as this season goes on, because their roster is just not what it was. Heck, even last year during the season, I mean, they still had 10 players drafted from last year's LSU team. They were just poorly coached and coordinated. But I think Kelly's going to get the most out of this team, and I think you'll see them, maybe win a game they're not supposed to, and win the ones they're supposed to, and maybe win 7 or 8.
LSU travels to Auburn coming up this weekend, and they're at Jordan-Hare Stadium. Glenn Guilbeau, Outkick.com, and you can follow him on Twitter at LSU Beat Tweet. And I want to also mention this new book coming out, Glenn, about Skip Bertman. Talk to us about kind of your work there as an author and writing this book on Skip Bertman.
Yeah, well, there's a lot about the other SEC teams in there with some of the great games LSU had with Alabama and so forth, and Auburn is in there. But there's a big book sale and signing party last night in Baton Rouge with Skip signing autographs. That was the first place you could buy the book in person. But those interested in the book, you can go to acadianhouse.com and order the book. But it's a fun book. It goes through his 5 national championships and how he built the program, and then when he was athletic director, and Skip was very accessible, and he's got a great memory, so he made it easy to write the book.
Glenn Guilbeau with Outkick.com. Glenn, really appreciate you coming on with us this afternoon, talking some LSU Tigers. We'll do it again real soon, but thanks for joining us.
Okay, thank you.
That was Glenn Guilbeau, Outkick.com, joining us on the All-American HVAC Service Hotline. And LSU favored over the Auburn Tigers, and we'll hear what Coach had to say, what Brian Kelly had to say heading into game week. We'll do that next as we see what the other side is saying. We'll also hear from Arkansas head coach Sam Pittman as the Razorbacks get ready to face the Alabama Crimson Tide. We'll do that on the other side of this break here on WKXX Live.
Are you ready to quit smoking but can't seem to kick the habit? Research shows that smokers are most successful at quitting when they have support. So contact the Alabama Tobacco Quit line at quitnowalabama.com or by calling 1-800-QUIT-NOW. Information, referrals, and coaching are confidential, and you may be eligible to receive up to an 8-week supply of free nicotine replacement patches. To learn more, visit quitnowalabama.com or call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. Quitting might be hard, but it's not impossible.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Psst. It's me, your bathroom medicine cabinet. I see you naked, know how often you floss, and watch you pluck unsightly hairs. I can keep a secret, but you need to know. Your kids have been taking your prescriptions to get high. I couldn't keep it quiet, because prescription drug abuse now causes more deaths than cocaine and heroin ODs combined. So please, mind your meds. For tips on safeguarding your meds and your family, visit the Partnership for Drug-Free Kids at drugfree.org.
Right now, it's a great time for anybody ready to get some real work done in Alabama. Whether you're somebody who needs to hire, somebody who wants to get hired, or a student who wants to know how to prepare to get hired, there's a new unified force for your success and a brighter future. It's time to get to work, Alabama. Alabama works.
Sponsored by Alabama Works, the ABA, and this station. Visit alabamaworks.com.
Steven.
Who said that?
Me, down here.
Ugh, what are you, a yellow booger?
I'm a banana slug, Steven.
What are you doing in my room?
I'm your sense of adventure. It's been a long time since we've had an adventure in the forest.
Mom took me to the forest last year.
I'm a slug, Steven. It took me a long time to get here.
You're right. I should get out.
Yeah, the forest is not that far away.
Hey, Mom!
Come to the forest where the more adventurous you lives. Check out discovertheforest.org for cool places nearby. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Do you have diabetes? Want to improve your blood sugar levels and keep your blood pressure on target? Then diabetes self-management education and support can help. Like many people with diabetes, you may find managing your diabetes difficult. Having a game plan and a coach can help you design a specific plan, complete with tools and support you need to thrive. Diabetes education helps people lower their blood sugar, blood pressure, and cholesterol levels. To find a diabetes education program near you, visit alabamapublichealth.gov/diabetes.
Being in the Army National Guard is about more than serving your country. It's about being there for your community when your neighbors need you most. The Army National Guard makes college affordable, and serving part-time can help you graduate debt-free. Do you want to stay close to friends and family? The Guard allows you to serve close to home. Serving part-time in the Army National Guard lets you have the life you want. Learn more by visiting nationalguard.com.
Sponsored by the Alabama Army National Guard. Aired by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. Beware of telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you. Callers threatening you with arrest or other legal action and demanding money are not from us. If you receive a call like this, hang up, do not provide them with any form of payment or information. Report the call at oig.ssa.gov.
Hey, Southside, we are your local sports station. Fox Sports 102.9 and 99.7.
We are back here on WKXX Live, Fox Sports 102.9. Chase and Gerhard rolling through this Wednesday afternoon with you. Coming up at 3:30, we'll have our weekly Weiss Lake Fishing Report. Elliot Galt of Weiss Lake Tackle and Outdoor will join us. But right now, we're going to hear what the other side is saying, as we'll hear from The head coaches of Arkansas and LSU, Alabama on the road in Fayetteville this Saturday against a really tough Arkansas team. And Arkansas coming off just a tough loss to Texas A&M over in Arlington. They kicked the field goal there with not a lot of time left. Hits the top of the upright, and Texas A&M goes on to win it. So they've got a bad taste in their mouth. Alabama coming off a big win against Vanderbilt. But this is a good Arkansas team, and Nick Saban was talking about that on Monday. But I've been impressed with what Sam Pittman has done. KJ Jefferson, very talented quarterback.
Yeah, this is a team that I think that a lot of people were really high on to begin the year. And every now and again in college football, you get those teams that people are really high on, and then they don't necessarily live up to expectations. Arkansas, you could say that Texas A&M game is a game where they didn't live up to expectations. But to me, this team is still playing really well. There's some holes on this team just as far as the way that they played in every game so far this year, but it's still a solid team. Now, can they mentally bounce back? This is a game that a lot of people, if you're just a poll your random fan about, what game on Alabama's regular season schedule could they lose? A lot of people pointed to this one in Fayetteville, middle of the year, after what they probably projected was a big win over Texas A&M. Well, now that they've lost that game, you're still having some people saying that Bama will, struggle against Arkansas. I don't necessarily see that, and we'll get to our predictions a little bit later on, but I think this is a good game, a good really benchmark for both teams. They're going to create a fantastic atmosphere there in Fayetteville. But yes, this is a team that we knew coming back with a starting quarterback, Sam Pittman, coming back as the head coach. He's already laid the foundation there. Exciting game at home. They're playing really well against a really good opponent. But yeah, to me, this is probably one of the more interesting matchups so far for Alabama to date.
Yeah, and Sam Pittman spoke to the media, and we're going to hear from him now. And, he looks back at last year and sees, there are some differences in some key areas in this team.
Yeah, he certainly does. He talked about, both Bryce Young and Will Anderson in his weekly press conference. And he said without any shame that those are the two of the best players coming back in college football. He thinks they're better than last year, specifically here in the soundbite, Bryce Young.
You mentioned you might be even better than last year. What are you seeing from him? What really impresses you about him?
A lot of confidence in everything he does, whether he's throwing, whether he's scrambling. He'll stay in the pocket till the last second. When he gets outside the pocket, he just looks comfortable. Like, I could run it for a touchdown. I can throw it for a touchdown. I'm just going to do kind of whichever one I decide to do. And he's been so hard to tackle for the teams that he's been playing. Texas is the only team really that put much pressure on them at all, and they did pressure them well. But I just think he's playing with an extreme amount of confidence, and he's obviously been a good player for probably since he was in sixth grade or whatever, but very, 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 very confident. Got a lot of players around him. Got some really good backs.
That was Arkansas head coach Sam Pittman talking about Bryce Young and looking better than even last year in his Heisman season. And so, Arkansas's got their hands full with Bryce Young, but Alabama's got their hands full with the skill guys at Arkansas as well.
Yeah, KJ Jefferson so far this year, 941 yards, 8 touchdowns to 1 interception. There's some things, and Coach Pittman mentioned it in his weekly press conference. There's some things that they're looking for KJ to do a little bit better and tweak his game, but they think that as the season moves along, and this defense will provide those opportunities where he can make those strides as he continues on. So it's going to be a battle of two great quarterbacks. I obviously think Alabama still has the better quarterback on the field. They have the better defensive player as far as Arkansas's top defensive player against Alabama's top defensive player. However, as a unit, can they make things difficult for Bryce Young? That's the question. And can Bama make things difficult for KJ Jefferson? But for sure, it's a really dynamic matchup between the two QBs.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see how Alabama plays on the road. We've seen one road game this year, and that was in Austin, Texas, and the Longhorns, and it was a 1-point game. Alabama's done just fine at home against against Vanderbilt this past week, and Louisiana Monroe and Utah State. But I'm interested to see how another road game fares for the Crimson Tide.
This is another interesting dynamic, and Coach talked about it in the press conference. The fact that outside of that Texas game that you just mentioned, their only true road game, their other games have been blowouts. Bryce Young hasn't had to take many snaps, and the starting units haven't had to take many snaps really much after the third quarter. So this will be what I think a lot of people expect to be another 4-quarter game. How does Alabama handle that as they continue to move along? And but the fact that you're playing on the road, the conditions as far as the overall weather conditions shouldn't be too bad, thanks in large part to the hurricane, which will drop the temperatures really across the southeast.
Yeah.
But to me, it's a really interesting matchup with Bama having to go, you would think, 4 quarters unless some things happen, the game breaks and Bama's up 2-3 touchdowns. But if you expect another close game like we saw in Austin, this will be another 4-quarter game for Bama.
Yeah. And so Alabama is at Arkansas facing the Razorbacks coming up this Saturday. And that should be a good one. That's the 2:30 CBS game on Saturday. And coming up Saturday night down on the plains in Auburn, the Tigers welcome in the other Tigers of LSU. We were just talking about this game with Glenn Gilbo. He brings up a good point. The offensive line for Auburn is down another guy with the center Tate Johnson out, and so that could mess things up to a offensive line that's already been struggling, and LSU's defensive line has looked all right this year.
They certainly have, especially, and they did so in that first game as well against Florida State, the game they ended up winning, but they've looked great ever since then, and they've been able to put some pressure on the quarterback, stop the run, and so they'll have their hands full. The Auburn offensive line will against the LSU defensive line. And as you mentioned, not only is Tate Johnson out for this game, they're not going to a third center here in the matchup because Nick Brahms retired from football at the beginning of the season. And so this is not the position Auburn's offensive line really wanted to be in going into this matchup with LSU. But this would be Brian Kelly's first taste of Jordan-Hare Stadium. He mentioned in his press conference he's been to Kentucky before. He's obviously coached at Georgia when Notre Dame and Georgia played a home-and-home situation in both in South Bend and in Athens. But first taste of Jordan-Hare Stadium. I do think, Chase, though, that if things would be a little bit different had Auburn lost against Missouri from an energy standpoint in the building than it will on Saturday. I do think that energy will be up a little bit because, of course, it's LSU. It's a nice rivalry matchup and whatnot. So yeah, Brian Kelly and his team have a whole lot to deal with going into this matchup. However, unlike some of the other games, LSU and Auburn are relatively similar as far as their scheme, as far as the kind of quarterback they have. Jaden Daniels, a nice running quarterback. Same thing with Robbie Ashford for LSU. And so these are two teams that look similar, which makes the preparation for both squads a little bit similar, especially for LSU.
This is going to be interesting this week. Well, not interesting, but, they run a very similar defense. So we'll go against each other quite a bit this week. And like last week, we didn't go against each other very much because the defenses don't match and the offenses certainly didn't match. This week, we'll go ones versus ones quite a bit this week because there's so much carryover, and we'll be able to keep the speed up with a Jaden going against our defense or their defensive structure with, having, BJ Ojolari at Jack like their Jack. So there'll be a lot of carryover where we're able to go against each other and really assimilate that game speed from both sides.
That was LSU head coach Brian Kelly as LSU getting ready to face Auburn coming up this Saturday there at Jordan-Hare Stadium in Auburn. That is a night game, 6 o'clock on ESPN. And, LSU, Jaden Daniels has been impressive. And, it was a kind of a battle going into the season. But, early on in fall camp, I think we kind of got the indication that Jaden Daniels was really standing out in fall camp. And he's done his job. I was watching him, against Mississippi State in a couple of those games, and he looked impressive.
Yeah, he certainly has, and he's one of those guys that, to transfer in from Arizona State, you have to pick up a new offense very quickly. He certainly did so. As of the season so far, 835 yards, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions, got a QBR close to 84, so this would be a big game where they ask of him to do both, to run the ball and throw it. He and Robbie Ashford probably have similar skill sets just in general. They'll look like similar quarterbacks on the field. I think Jane Daniels is a little bit of a better thrower, which is the reason I would give him the edge and the offense for LSU the edge over Auburn.
Yep, and so Auburn LSU Saturday night there on the Plains. So that's what the other side had to say this week in Arkansas and LSU. We'll have our weekly Weiss Lake Fishing Report coming up on the other side of this break. Elliot Gaunt joins me next here on Fox Sports 102.9.
Did you make it out the door on time?
Yeah, but I have lipstick on my teeth.
Ooh, that color looks great on you. And you deserve a tasty treat. Did you take an alternate route and avoid 30 seconds of traffic? Or did you weather apple eye? Ooh, and now you're sweating in your jacket. So sweet, unique. Baby, there's nothing better. I bet you probably done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper. Did you nail the high note while singing along to your favorite song? Yes, I did. Did you perfectly parallel park without bumping any bumper? Yeah, but I locked my keys in the car. That's okay. I need my keys a little sweet. Did you get to get in the car seat without losing your temper? Buckle in, that's a win. It's one of a kind, it'll blow your mind. Everyone's done something that deserves a Dr. Pepper.
Hello, friends. This is Ryan Morris, pastor of First Baptist Church of Oaks Bluff. I love the football season. I love cheering my team on to victory. But let me ask you this. Do you have victory in your spiritual life? You can by having a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. If you'd like more information about that, or if you're looking for a church home, check us out at 5052 Main Street, Oaks Bluff. Our website is fbchb.org. First Baptist Church of Oaks Bluff, advancing the gospel of Jesus Christ. God bless you and go Eagles.
Fall is the perfect time to visit WKXX Kayak Rental and Shuttle Service, featuring primitive camping, RV hookups, and a bathhouse. Camp, fish, or kayak the beautiful Chattooga River that maintains a great water level throughout the fall. Single kayaks $30, doubles $50, and includes gear and shuttle. Paddle or camp with WKXX in Galesville, open Saturday and Sunday till the end of the season. For reservations, call 256-300-0013 or visit WKXX on Facebook.
The City of Oaks Bluff reminds its citizens to stay weather aware. When it rains, it drains. Visit cityofhoaxbluff.com/stormwater awareness. Join us September 24th for the Hot Rod Happening Car Show and Oaks Bluff City Fest with free entertainment featuring Lori Morgan. Come out to the G Roundup Tractor Show on October 7th and 8th. Thank you for shopping our local Oaks Bluff businesses. The City of Oaks Bluff proudly supports Oaks Bluff Athletics and band Go Eagles.
Protect yourself with Secure Shred. Secure Shred provides on-site, off-site, and scheduled drop-off shredding appointments for your convenience. Secure Shred is a professional paper shredding company providing the most secure, efficient, simple, and cost-effective ways available destroying your company's most confidential information. Our certified shred technicians can service your company monthly, bi-monthly, or weekly. Purge jobs are also available on an as-needed basis. Secure Shred is now hiring, offering full-time and part-time job opportunities. Call us today, 256-891-5225. That's 256-891-5225.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling on it.
The dad joke. Corny, groan-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
What did the buffalo say when he dropped his son off for school? Bye, son.
So take a moment to make your kid laugh, because dad jokes rule. Make your kid laugh today. Go to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Hey, Jacksonville. We are your local sports station. Fox Sports 102.9 and 99.7.
We are back here on WKXX Live, Fox Sports 102.9. Chase Robinson And Gerhard Mathangani here with you this afternoon. It is time for our weekly Weiss Lake Fishing Report. To do that, we welcome on Elliot Galt with Weiss Lake Tackle and Outdoor. Elliot, as always, appreciate your time. How are you today?
I'm doing good, Chase. How are you?
Doing well. So talk to us about how the fishing's been. I know things are cooling off a little bit. So how's fishing been?
Fishing's been good. It's, we're transitioning into that fall period. The fish are starting to chase bait fish around more actively, and you catch them many different ways. Water temperature's dropping, and so is the air temperature. It was chilly this morning running down the lake. Had to put on a hoodie for the first time in a long time. So it's the fishing is going to pick up, and the weights are going to get higher, and the fish are going to be feeding up. So it's going to be a fun time to catch them in the fall.
And of course, you mentioned you'll be able to catch them in multiple different places. They're not just deep. So talk to us about kind of where the best places are to catch fish.
Yeah, so right now I found that the fish are starting to move back into the creeks again, not just staying out on the main river. So you can you can go to your favorite creek, and the ones you see bait in is going to be the most productive areas. This time of year, you really got to follow the bait and let the bait tell you where the fish are. If you pull into a creek and you don't see a lot of bait fish activity, then it's probably not going to be the best place to fish. You may pick off one or two, but if you pull in and you see a lot of bait activity on top of the water, the shallow banks where they drop off from deep or from shallow to deep, near deeper water right now before they move all the way back into the back of the creeks. You still want to be kind of close to the deep water, but yeah, you can pick up a jig, shaky head, spinner bait, crankbait. You can catch them just about any way you want to this time of year.
We're talking with Elliot Galt of Weiss Lake Tackle and Outdoor on our weekly Weiss Lake Fishing Report. What are y'all using to catch the fish right now? What's popular to use right now?
Well, a lot of top water. You can go top water, a majority of the day if you got a cloudy day. On any other time, you just gotta find the shade lines and throw top water, and then once the sun comes up, you can throw a spinner bait if you got some wind. If you don't have any wind, you can throw a crankbait. And then when it slows down, you pick up a shaky head or a jig or something you can go slow with. But ultimately, right now, it's pretty fast and furious.
So talk to us about what's going on at the store. What are folks picking up there at Weiss Lake Tackle and Outdoor?
Well, like I said, transitioning from that really deep bite to that kind of shallow bite. So a lot of jerk baits, spinner baits. The crappie fishing's going to be picking up here soon, so it's going to be a lot of crappie stuff sold here. Coming up next few weeks. We got a newer tackle, crappie tackle. It's called Bonehead Tackle. They're a pretty big retailer I believe they're out of Louisiana, and they make a really good crappie jig. And then, but it's still selling a lot of top waters right now, and like I said, any shad imitating bait, being crankbait, spinner bait, anything like that. Got a new load of reels in last week, so selling a lot of reels and always FX rods. So.
Yeah, good stuff happening there at Weiss Lake Tackle and Outdoor, right off of Cedar Bluff Road there in Center. What hours? When can people find you guys open?
So now with it's starting to get dark early again, or going to get dark earlier, and it was staying daylight till about 8 o'clock. We were staying up until 6, 8 to 6 on weekdays and Saturdays, and then 10 to 2 on Sundays. So here, the next week or so, we'll be cutting those back to 8 to 5, since it is going to start getting dark earlier. So we'll be here Monday through Saturday, 8 to 5, and then on Sunday, 10 to 2.
All right, so go by and see them. Weiss Lake Tackle and Outdoor. You can check them out on Facebook, but better yet, go by and see them right off Cedar Bluff Road in Center. That is Weiss Lake Tackle and Outdoor. Elliot, as always, appreciate your time. We'll talk to you again next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Elliot Galt with Weiss Lake Tackle and Outdoor joining us here on WKXX Live. As it's finally not 8 million degrees. You can go out and go fishing.
Yeah, and you can do it really all times a day, which is really advantageous. And it's always great to hear just the subtle differences in what goes on as far as the way the weather with the way the weather interacts or maybe interferes in the summertime with some good fishing. But it looks like now, if you're an angler out there, you're able to have a successful day on the water.
Yeah, and I was cold this morning. It was 44 down in Oxford when I got up and got going this morning, and I would not have wanted to have been out fishing at 6:30 this morning at 44 degrees. But
yeah, it's gotten, like I said, it's gotten cold, and we went from summer weather 90s last week to 44 this week. It's just, that's Bama for you.
Yeah. Now I wanted to mention this. We were talking Auburn a second ago. Our friend Jeffrey Lee from AuburnLive.com, covers recruiting for the Tigers, has said that it's going to be a big day recruiting wise this Saturday down in Auburn. This is one of the biggest weekends as far as number of 4 and 5 stars that they've had on campus. Coming up Saturday, 4 5-stars will be on visits in Auburn, and 16 4-stars will be visiting Auburn this Saturday. 20 visitors for the class of 2023, 8 visitors for the class of 2024. 3 of them are on official visits. Tony Mitchell, he's committed to Alabama from Thompson. He will be on an official visit to Auburn. Alex Sanford, Arkansas commit, will be on an official visit. And Braden Joyner, who's already committed to Auburn, but he will be on an official visit as well. But a big recruiting weekend, which you like to win those, you know, when the recruits are in. But 4 5-stars, 16 4-stars visiting Auburn Saturday.
And you can about guarantee that all of them, I'm not going to go into each individual prospect, but all of them also have offers from LSU. So this is a chance for LSU. Obviously, they're going to visit Auburn, and the LSU coaches won't be able to, just chat and converse with them. But this is a good chance for Auburn to put a good foot forward as far as a game perspective. Now, obviously, I'm not in the recruiting, the pitch meetings and whatnot. The Penn State game did not go as planned as far as that recruiting weekend, because that was another one that also had big recruiting implications as well. So a chance for Auburn to really showcase not only what they do as far as their commitment to football off the field, which is sensational, but their commitment to football on the field as well, and the kind of environment they create Saturday is really big. So Jeffrey Lee, obviously on top of the recruiting game, doing a good job of highlighting who will be there and who has a chance from Auburn's perspective to make a good impression.
And Auburn is way behind in recruiting right now, and so they've got a lot of catching up to do. And and you mentioned the Penn State game, big recruiting weekend. That didn't quite go like they planned, so we'll see if this weekend, with lots of 4 and 5 stars on campus there for visits at Auburn, if that goes better. But you want to give them a good atmosphere, a good meeting time there, but also you want your recruits to see good football being played on the field. So we'll see if Auburn can deliver that coming up this weekend. Coming up next, we'll dive back into some baseball, give you a rundown of what's coming up tonight between the Braves and the Nationals in Game 3, and much more as we roll into our final segment here on this Wednesday here on WKXX Live.
And he drops back to pass. Oh, looks like there's a flag on the play. Let's go to the officials.
There is no flag on the play. I just had to tell everyone about the amazing deal I got at the Kia store.
Celebrate good times, come on.
Kick off your season with lower prices and exceptional trade-in values at the Kia stores, Anniston, Oxford, and Rainbow City, Gadsden. Are you stuck in your loan or lease? The Kia store wants to get you released. For a limited time, get up to $2,000 over Kelly Blue Book fair market value for any trade, so you can drive a new, more fuel-efficient Kia for less. We have a great selection of new Kias, with more arriving daily, including the all-new 2023 Sportage SUV, plus Telluride and Sorrento SUVs. All available with 0 down payment and super low financing. Worried about your credit? Don't sweat it. We partnered with even more aggressive lenders that will push to approve your credit, even if it's less than perfect. At the Kia store, Anniston, Oxford, and Rainbow City, Gadsden, or online at mykiastore.com. Subject to lender approval. Offers not combined.
Protect yourself with Secure Shred. Secure Shred provides on-site, off-site, and scheduled drop-off shredding appointments for your convenience. Secure Shred is a professional paper shredding company providing the most secure, efficient, simple, and cost-effective ways available, destroying your company's most confidential information. Our certified shred technicians can service your company monthly, bi-monthly, or weekly. Purge jobs are also available on an as-needed basis. Secure Shred is now hiring, offering full-time and part-time job opportunities. Call us today, 256-891-5225. That's 256 256-891-5225.
WKXX 102.9 and People's Independent Bank take time every day to salute our first responders. Thank you for keeping us safe. Each week, WKXX 102.9 will choose a first responder of the week and give them $100. To nominate a first responder unit, go to WKXX.com. People's Independent Bank serves Boaz, Scottsboro, Oaks Bluff, Douglas, Steele, Gurley, Fife, Powell, and Sylvania. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey, it's Chase from WKXX Live. Let me tell you about my friends at All American HVAC Service. So the air condition went out here at the studio, and I just had to make one call. That was to All American HVAC Service. They're going to be efficient and thorough in getting the job done and doing it right. And they now offer refrigeration services, service contracts, and they can work on your commercial equipment as well. So do what I did and call All American HVAC Service at 256-393-0104. That's All American HVAC Service.
Talking to your kids about the dangers of vaping can be hard. Getting them to listen to hot gossip is easy. So here's some drama you could share with your kid. Dude, did you hear about Cassie and Jake? No, but did you hear that vaping can cause irreversible lung damage and nicotine affects brain development? Nuh-uh. You don't need to gossip if you want to have an open conversation about vaping. So if you want to get tips on when and how to talk to your kids, visit talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
How do airplanes fly? What's in this box? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Learn how to store your gun securely and make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
You love sports. We love sports. Let's be friends. Follow us on Facebook at WKXX Fox Sports 102.9. Hey, Oxford. We are your local sports station. Fox Sports 102.9 and 99.7.
We are back on this Wednesday afternoon. It is WKXX Live. Chase and Gerhard here with you. 256-413-1029. If you'd like to call in and be a part of the show today, we roll into our final segment. We welcome in your phone calls. Again, 256-413-1029. If you'd like to call in and be a part of WKXX Live this afternoon. We got Braves and Nationals Game 3 coming up here in just a little while. 4:50 will be the Ford leadoff show. 7:05 first pitch. You got Jake Odorizzi on the mound for the Braves. He's 5-6 on the year, 4.61 ERA, 79 strikeouts. Facing Josiah Gray, who's 7-10 on the year for Washington, 5.17 ERA and 152 strikeouts. So that is the pitching matchup tonight.
Yeah, it should be a really interesting one. Another good one for the Atlanta Braves to be able to continue the run they've had so far in this series. Of course, I think that the main thing to me for Atlanta is to be able to continue this hot bat streak. They don't have to score 8 runs like they've done the previous 3 times, but they keep this going as far as what they've been able to do offensively. They'll put whoever steps on the mound in a good position.
Yeah, and so Odorizzi, again, a guy that we've seen here and there, has like you said, 5-6 record, but a guy who's been pretty sharp at times, has struggled at other times, but a guy that obviously has gained the trust for them to put him on the mound in Game 3 of the series.
Yeah, his numbers won't blow you away, but he's certainly serviceable. And if you just look at his game log, he's been a guy that they go to regularly over the last maybe like 5-6 weeks, and so yeah, he's one of the good guys that's great at setup, but also he starts as well. But in my opinion, he's going to be one of those guys where you get to the postseason, you need to steal an inning from against a really good a bullpen guy from your other team, for the team that you're playing against in Game 2 of a series. You need to steal 6 outs. He's that guy, but he's got a chance here to get the start and help close this thing out against the Nats.
Yeah, you'd love to see the Braves be able to get this win tonight, and Mets go into their final game there with Miami tonight. So wouldn't it be nice if the Braves got a win and the Mets got a loss? That'd be a great end to a Wednesday.
Oh, 100%. And the only thing the Braves really wanted going into that series is let us control our destiny. Let us not have to pray for the Mets to lose.
Yeah.
Well, the Mets might just hand this thing off to you like a quarterback handing the ball off to a running back. We'll see, but it looks as if that series started right now, the Braves' destiny's in their own hands.
Yeah, it sure is. So, Braves Nationals game 3 tonight. Again, 4:50 is the Ford leadoff show. 6:05 they'll throw the first pitch there in our nation's capital. We got some news and notes across the NFL, Gerhard.
That's exactly right. Yeah, some injury news. And, of course, injuries are a part of the sport. We see it all the time. But some big news out today, according to different reports from stars of different leagues. We'll talk about the 3 quarterbacks in a moment. But first, the Chargers, their bad luck just continues. Joey Bosa, their star defensive end, is going under surgery. He's now going on the IR. His groin tear, which sounds just super painful. 59.5 sacks in the last 7 seasons. He had 1.5 sacks this year. That goes along with Rashawn Slater, who's also on IR. He's one of their big offensive linemen, their big left tackle. So some bad news there on both sides of the ball for the LA Chargers. Meanwhile, on a quarterback front, former Alabama star and current New England Patriot, Mac Jones, he's listed as day-to-day. And Bill Belichick, I'll just read you the transcript here of Bill Belichick talking to the reporters in the Foxborough area about Mac Jones' status being day-to-day. He said it 12 different times. And then it became kind of theater to those that were in that press conference room.
Yeah.
Reminded them a little bit of, do you remember that saying a couple of years ago? Well, we're on to Cincinnati. We're on to Cincinnati. Well, day by day has become we're on to Cincinnati. This is the way some of the that back and forth with the reporters went. Ended up being a little bit tongue in cheek. You can go watch it on YouTube or other places. But he says we're taking it day by day. The reporter asks if he has a procedure to help his recovery. He says day by day, and then he goes day by day. Are the Patriots moving forward on the same page as Mac Jones? So I'm not really sure the nature of that question. We're just handling things day by day.
Yeah.
Day by day. Does he have a high ankle sprain? Same answer. What do the medical experts tell you? Day by day. We'll evaluate him day by day. What difference does it make? Do you think I read the MRI? That's not my job. So you can go back and watch the back and forth. It's actually pretty funny. But Bill Belichick is one of those guys where, if he doesn't want to talk to reporters, he will use his media availability to just waste time, to waste everybody's time, and say day by day 12 different times there in that press conference. Also, 2 quick quarterback notes. Jameis Winston, Hueytown, Alabama native, does plan to play after a rest day in London. And the Jets quarterback, Zach Wilson, he is cleared to start against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, so some news and notes across the NFL as we'll be getting ready for another week of NFL football coming up this week, and we'll make our picks Friday and talk some more NFL as we move through this week. Speaking of Friday, we're going to be live on location Friday. Really excited to be out at the Talladega Superspeedway Yellowwood 500 weekend. The race coming up on Sunday, the doubleheader Saturday, and then the big race on Sunday. But really excited to be out at the Speedway on Friday, and it looks like we thought maybe some rain would be in the area Friday and Saturday, but it's shaping up to look like a really nice weekend.
Yeah, according to all the weather projections, we're a little afraid of some rain, but it looks like all that will stay to the east. It looks like the track will be fine, so continue to pray for good weather there. It should be a really, really interesting series of races. We obviously focused a lot on the Cup race, but all the other divisions are also in the playoffs as well. So it should be a really fun time there at the Super Speedway. And thankfully, according to the latest weather reports, Ian won't be messing around with the race.
Yeah, and so we'll have race coverage. We'll have NASCAR driver Chase Briscoe join us on Friday afternoon at 2:30. We will be there from 2 to 3:30. Typically, we just do a 1-hour show on Friday. We'll go 90 minutes this week as we'll be on location there from the Talladega Super Speedway. We'll still have our NFL picks and talk college football and NFL But we'll also talk a little NASCAR as we'll be there on location coming up on Friday. Getting you ready for race weekend and excited about that. We've been talking a lot of football. We talked about Rick Petrie and the Gamecock women earlier. Alabama, Auburn, and JSU men also have started practice. So we're right around the corner from college basketball season, and we'll be turning our attention to that coming up soon.
Yeah, we certainly will. It kind of hits when normally one of the pages that I go to is NCAA.com. And here we are sitting in October, and one of the first things that I saw a couple of days ago was basketball. They were highlighting the fact that basketball practice had started. A great year last year. A lot of the blue bloods ended up making it late. You have Kansas ended up winning the men's national championship, a great women's tournament as well. And we expect to see a lot of good basketball again this year right here in our state. The JSU men ended up going to the NCAA tournament. The Auburn men did the same thing. JSU women had a great season. The Alabama women had a great end of the year last year as well. So we expect to see all the teams that we cover week in and week out, day in and day out, to once again have another good basketball season, both on the men's side and the women's side. So it's going to be a really fun time because football is always great here. And to pair that with good early season basketball, it's even better. Yeah, so we're right in the middle of football. I mean, like he said, and basketball go. And I feel like in college, and Coach Petrie mentioned this, it used to be mid-October when they started, but now 6 weeks before their first game, they're out practicing. So things have kind of changed. The NCAA has made it possible for them to get out and start practicing early. Yeah, you loosen up, I think, a couple of things that the NCAA has done that I really like. You loosen up some of the restrictions that they had overall just by, your day-to-day stuff, how long you can practice, how long you can get with your team, how long you can work with the basketball and whatnot with the assistant coaches there. But then at the same time, you also let practice go a little bit earlier. I think what you end up getting, though, when you do that, is teams that are crisper at the beginning of the year offensively. We don't see a lot of bad basketball offensively because they've been in the gym for the last 6 weeks. And so I think it's a really good thing. And so we should be able to see some good, especially offensive basketball early on, as we now know basketball shifted to the three-point shot where that's kind of the focus there on offense. Well, you'll get 6 more weeks to practice your offense within that and your spacing and everything else, all the other details. And so I think it's another good thing that the NCAA has done over the course of the last few years. Yep. And so we'll be talking more college basketball coming up. And hopefully we'll get Coach Petrie and Coach Harper on to talk with us and give us a preview of the Gamecock. Gamecocks men are going to look pretty different this year. Women have a lot of faces returning. Men, not so much, but should be a fun season, no doubt. We will once again be your home for Jacksonville State men's basketball right here on Fox Sports 102.9. We're about out of time on this Wednesday, going by pretty fast, and we'll be back with you tomorrow as we'll get into preview some of these big high school matchups. We talked about Southside Leeds earlier, but some really good high school games coming up this week as well. Yeah, on the slate this week is some phenomenal games, and we highlighted some of them earlier. Hanley, Anniston, Etowah, Aniana. I know we'll talk about a lot about those tomorrow, as well as the Piedmont Westbrook Christian game, which has been moved to tomorrow as well. So some really dynamic matchups, and it'll kind of shape the course of what we expect to see in the playoffs. You won't necessarily get seeding, but you'll get a clearer picture as to what the playoffs look like, especially this week, but then as we move forward into the next few weeks as well. So great games statewide and great games here in our area. Sure are. That is all the time we have for you. Join us tomorrow from 2 to 4 on a Thursday edition of WKXX Live. We'll continue previewing high school, college, professional football, and whatever else comes across the table coming up tomorrow. I hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday. We'll do it again 2 to 4 tomorrow. Join us then here on Fox Sports 102.9.
And he drops back to